All right. Okay. Well, Dave's back, everyone. He's been in Brazil for the past two and a half weeks.
2 weeks ish.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
The wife is still there, so I've got the house to myself.
He left the wife there. My goodness. Well, we better be nice. She might actually join this show just to and she's back on Facebook, I saw.
Well, I think her Instagram is connected to Facebook, so things like just spill over.
Oh, so she's not back on?
She hates Facebook.
I was like, we'll have to clean up our act if she's back. So.
Yeah, no, we're in the clear.
You say that now. But anyway, so tonight we're gonna chat about the news, but we have a guest tonight. We have Rick Ramirez, and Rick, go ahead and introduce yourself. And you come from the Uno podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. I am.
Oh, we're spooling now. Look at that.
Search for it, you'll find us.
All right.
And,
repeat
that's
that.
where I'm from.
Repeat that. We had a bump.
Okay. I'm Rico from the show, the Underqualified and Overcompensated podcast.
Oh, it tossed us totally.
What'd you say, Rick? You just got us tossed off.
Yeah.
I'm shadow banned by Zoom, apparently.
We're going to. All right. We're back in again. All right.
Take two.
Take 2 3/4. I don't know what we've got going on. All right. Throw it again, Rick.
Okay. I'm Rico from the Underqualified and Overcompensated podcast. You can find us anywhere you can search. Just Google the name. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's ridiculous. And I do some podcasting on a regular basis with 2 of my buddies, also medics in the Army like myself. And we lean on the show conservative libertarian, but, our opinions don't always reflect party boundaries. So we just talk about what we do.
Now, for our audience out there who's familiar with the geographical locations, Rick served a tour in Dugway. It was his first tour. That's where I met him. And he was a really quiet guy. I didn't know he even leaned political, but this is a recent thing in your life, right? Or
it is.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I was always aware, but as I get older and there's more gray in my beard, which I only have right now because I'm on leave, there are things that as I'm getting older, I have stronger opinions on. So I've recently, within the past 3-ish years, found myself leaning towards conservative libertarian, and watching a lot of the craziness reinforces that change.
Now you got kids too, don't you?
I do. I have a little boy and a little girl, 5 and 6.
How does that affect you? Do you notice any difference with your political opinions because of your children?
Yes. I just see a lot of things happening these days that are frankly scary. It's I remember going to school and you just learned what you learned. And now there's a lot of agendas in play, which, in your own personal life, do whatever you want to do, but teach kids how to be kids. So definitely that's colored my opinion these days.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks for coming and joining us.
I want to explore this for a second. See, I was in the Army, and your first duty station was Dugway.
Yes.
So you came from, you said New York City or one of the
originally
boroughs.
From New York. However, I was in South Florida before I joined the Army.
Okay. So then you went to Florida, still population and civilization.
Yeah.
And then you joined the military. Where'd you do basic?
Fort Jackson.
And then to Sam Houston. And then to Dugway.
Yep, to Dugway.
So you went from New York, which is, for those who don't know out there, you should really have to get a passport to go. We've covered this before. And then to Florida. And then to Fort Jackson. And then to Sam Houston, where there's
Correct.
8 women to every dude or something. And then
that's what they told me, but when I got there, the numbers were slightly off. But still, that made me fall in love with Texas, which is why I'm back in Texas now.
Yeah. and then to Dugway,
Yes.
where there is, yeah, talk about.
I mean,
I'll bet that
it's a different ratio. It's 800 cows to every one person.
Oh, and
especially
then there's
going through Skull Valley.
And then do the cows to antelope ratio. But good heck, man. I'll bet that was kind of a culture shock at first.
It definitely was, coming out of, being high speed, new Army dude, going out to the middle of nowhere, Utah. Utah's a beautiful place. I absolutely loved it there. However, Dugway Proving Ground. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I thought I was going the wrong way as I was driving through Skull Valley. And then eventually I made a turn and saw what looked like a government gate. And I was like, okay, I'm probably at the right place. Maybe not.
Well, nice. That's interesting. But we should get on with the show. And there's lots of news to talk about, as anyone watching right now can see.
But before we go into the news, let's talk about something local here.
Yeah, we've got something to talk about.
So we have a resident here in Tooele County. Now her name is Marley Dalton, and she was a recipient of an organ transplant, saved her life, and she's doing a fundraiser for a scholarship. She wants to give back to the community, right? So she wants to do some good things. She's probably, after receiving an organ transplant, saving your life, probably sees the world in a different view, I would imagine.
Oh, and people and everything. Yeah. All right. It's on the screen. It's probably super hard to read, but it's a 11th annual softball tournament. It's the Dalton Donation for Life. It's Friday and Saturday. So it's today. So you missed that day, but tomorrow.
Well, it's going on right now. I mean, you can hit it.
Yeah. Well, no, because then you'd have to, or you just play us out loud there, whatever. But it's at the War Memorial Ballpark. And for anyone who doesn't know where the War Memorial Ballpark is, it's that ballpark in Erda, right off of 36 as you're driving between Stansbury and Erda there. It's kind of a little privately owned ballpark off to the side. We should have probably announced this a couple weeks ago to see if we could get some teams involved. But yeah, if you want to go down there, go down and watch, support them, grab a burger, a dog, soft drink, support this stuff. But I think this is awesome.
Good luck with your fundraiser. I hope this works.
Yeah, for sure. So the news. I mean,
we should have like theme music to go into the news.
Should we hold off the big news till the end, or should we dive head in first?
All right, I say we dive head in first. We'll talk about that, get it over with, but we won't last, as long as normal on this subject, shall we? Let's make a promise. I am kind of sick of the abortion topic. I just
well, we're going to dive in first to one that's a little nearer and dearer to my heart.
Okay, so where are we going with this, Jared?
So the Supreme Court just passed the ruling on it says concealed carry, but it's carrying of personal self-defense, because it applies beyond concealed carry, which is gonna chafe the utter ass of your guys' home state, New Jersey, California. What other states are in there with that? Rhode Island.
I think Hawaii was thrown in with
Hawaii
legislation,
and to different levels too. New York surprisingly is, I think, the third strictest. I think New Jersey and Hawaii are the two most strict on the ability to carry self-defense. But
I remember when I lived in New York, upstate New York, by the way, I think it was like $400 a year to updo your permit for a pistol. That's just to have insane. One in your home.
Well, the crazy thing about that is that just counts people who need it the most out.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the most endangered areas, it counts them out. And so, yeah.
So it's a form of eugenics.
It's, hey, I'll say it right here. All gun laws are racist. And that's it. But anyways, so the the Supreme Court came down and said it's unconstitutional to disallow people to carry self-defense.
Well, Jared, what brought this on? Can you give me a
Okay.
background on what brought this on?
I can't remember the name of the actual. It's been in, I think, 11 years. It's been heading towards the Supreme Court. A guy sued to be. It was in New York. The guy sued a guy sued because he got turned down for getting a concealed carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran through the District of New York Court, and then he ran through the Supreme Court of New York, and then it went on federal. And yeah, it made its way up through, and the Supreme Court said that it's, paraphrasing, folks, that it is your right, according to the Second Amendment, to defend yourself, to have self-defense. And so it finally made it through. And I think we should call this the Donald Trump's revenge. Because he got 2 nominees in that were conservative. And I'm not a fan of, I'm only a fan of probably Thomas is the only one in there that I can see myself vibing with more than 60% of the time, because some of the liberal ones I vibe with quite a bit too, but he's the only one that I vibe with more than 60% of the time.
Rick, you got any good gun stories for New York?
A sad one, unfortunately. You'd think it would color the way I see guns. I mean, it's not really sad. I just remember being a kid and getting off the school bus, and I lived in a not great area, and I thought of this story the other day, and I told my soldiers about it. And I get off the school bus, and I'm walking down towards my apartment through this gang area, and a kid, not much older than me. I had to be maybe 12, 13, and I'm walking home from the bus. And this kid, he stops me. I turn around, he pulls a revolver out of my face, and then I just turn around and keep walking.
Please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me.
I didn't say anything. I just turned around and
How old were you again?
Huh?
How old were you?
I had to be 12, 13. And this kid wasn't much older than me.
I'll bet neither of you thought through what happened, what was going to happen, but I'll bet later on, I'll bet years later, it really hit you.
It didn't hit me. I don't think. I brought up this story recently because I was talking about gun control with a couple of my medics, and I was like, look, I was in this situation where something really bad could have happened. It was obviously illegal gun use. This kid was not much older than me, but had a gun. Pulled it on me, and I just walked away. And that could have been like the one situation where I didn't get to walk away that day. But it just didn't work out that way, thankfully.
Roll the dice and you got it. Good for you. Gosh,
Yeah.
So
just turn around and walk away sometimes. See what happens.
That is wild.
it's a lot to process in your older years to think like that could have went either way, man.
I imagine had your mom heard the story, she wouldn't have been so nonchalant about it.
They found out that day because they were like, what happened? I was like, they were just asking me about my day. And I was like, I was just walking down the hill, and this kid, not much older than me, pulled a gun on me.
What did
they
he
started
pull
freaking
it for?
out.
Did he pull it to try to shake down the 12-year-old for the loose change he may have had?
He literally said nothing, and I gave him no time to say anything. He just pulled it. It was in my face. I turned around and kept walking.
Well, good on you.
Well, that's a happy ending story, at least.
Yeah.
I have one gun story for New York, and it's
Okay.
actually my dad's story. So as a younger man, you always look up to your father. You kind of look at him like the hero figure of your life, right? And he told me this story about how him and my mother were in the New York City area, and a car pulls up to the side in front of him. 2 guys jump out, grab a girl, trunk opens, and they put her in the trunk. And what can he do? He can't do anything. And I was, Dad, why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you do anything? But it's like he's like, I have no gun. I have no ability to protect myself or the other person.
Yeah, or people around you.
And that always mentally affected me because it's like, that's my father. He couldn't do anything. And now that I see how things are in the real world and the gun laws and things like that have influenced our society, I understand from his point of view. And in fact, it was only a few years ago, me and Patricia were driving through California. Of course, I don't have a gun on me. And she sees two Mexicans pop a girl in a trunk. And it's like, well, what do you do?
Sounds to me like that is a modern way to obtain a date, I guess. If it's happening that often. I've never seen anyone pushed into a trunk. Not even on a joke.
But it really reaffirms my belief and my religion of praising the assault rifle and the pistol.
Definitely the pistol. I'm an advocate of, I don't care if you have constitutional carry in your state, you still need to go get your concealed carry permit, because that is getting your name on a ledger saying, we desire this responsibility of self-defense. And that way, when your state legislature goes to, play around with the idea of, maybe turning you into a sheep, they have to look at that ledger and see how many names are on it. And I hope every man above the age of, 21, and every woman above the age of 21, I hope they all go, just get the permit. If you don't like guns, I don't care. Go get the permit, go get the training, go get the understanding.
Well, it should be offered in school.
Oh, you're damn right. You're damn. What do you
Weren't
think?
things better when they offered it in school? There
yeah.
were no shootings. People were taught respect for weapons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What do you think about this wanting to make the age 21 to purchase is it all firearms, or is it just semi-automatic weapons with a box magazine that has a pistol grip?
Well, it's already 21 for pistols, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 21.
21 for pistols, and now they're doing it for semi-automatic weapons, unless you're a qualified individual such as a police officer or military active duty. So,
but in the active duty, you can't buy one anyway. You can't own one in the barracks at all until when I was in, I think it was, you had to be an E4 to possess one, and it had to be kept in the arms room.
You can own one now as just a plain old private. However, it does have to, if you live in the barracks, you're correct, it does have to be placed in the arms room or
I kept mine
some on post secure location.
I kept mine at my squad leader's house off post. I kept my perfectly legal, perfectly healthy firearm.
And they take it so seriously, because I remember one time I was getting back from Afghanistan and I was going to Germany, and I totally forgot, we had our pistols with us, and we just brought them to the hotel that they put us up in the Air Force with the cable and the nice beds.
Yeah.
And
boy, go on talking about this Air Force life. What is this hotel you speak of?
I don't know. One of these Germany type hotels that you come in when you land from Afghanistan, they put you in and give you crew rest for 8 hours.
Does the Army land somewhere else?
Yeah, we landed. I recently came back from a deployment, and we just stood in Ramstein for 6 hours until the plane was ready.
They just put you in if they need to. Hell, when I landed in Gitmo, they dropped us off on the tarmac, had us, it's Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Humidity's 1 million, temperature's 5 million, and they had us go sit in a glass bus, like one of them bus waiting stations.
Nice.
And they had us go sit in a greenhouse and forgot about us for 4 hours.
Well, anyway, if you forget to check in your gun into the arms room, they have a cow. I don't know. It's it's a big deal for them, and I don't know. It seems kind of weird because you're in the military. It's a gun. I don't know why they have these strict laws on us too. It's crazy.
In a way, I understand that because I was in the Army, and they don't train every soldier to a level that I would want them wandering around through a hotel with a sidearm. Not to mention, if I stopped moving, there were 3 things I looked for, and that was food, booze, or a bed. And that was it. And that was back when I was in.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. If you ever drop your assault rifle on the tile of a Burger King, you know how hard the tile is in a Burger King? I remember doing that once. Man, you set your assault rifle up against these edges of the table and they just slide right to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone looks at you.
Yeah, so they say get down with it.
Yep.
Anyways, but yeah, I wonder about that 21 years old. If they're going to make that just in firearms, the age of majority, but leave it out of everything else. That's why I don't like our alcohol law when it comes to, they're going to give you age of majority at 18 to have to fill out for selective service, to have to, be ready for jury duty, for all that other stuff.
It's all cherry picked.
But then they'll say, well, alcohol's different. Well, then they're going to let us vote before we have the common sense.
They want to let 16-year-olds vote, don't they?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying
there are
is
a lot of adult decisions being put on children and teenagers these days that don't make a lot of sense.
well, if they want to make that the age of majority across the board, age of majority. If you want to leave the age of majority at 18 across the board, but I don't think we can split hairs on that, and if our 18-year-olds aren't meeting the level that we require, well, then we're failing at training our 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
They don't even know what gender they are nowadays. So
No.
feel bad for 'em.
Yeah. But anyways,
What's
so
next?
Congratulations, Hawaii. California, it hits a little bit, not as bad. New Jersey, oddly enough, is super strict. And
Amen for New York City.
I want to see how they're going to deal with this. It's got old Mayor Adams. I'll bet his blue underwear are twisted something fierce right now. All right. Red flag bill that's moving its way through the House. You guys have any thoughts on red flag bills?
I just think it's a bad idea to storm someone's house just to go get their gun.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. And it's going to be a situation where it's going to be a modern day witch hunt for people you don't like. I don't like my neighbor. Something suspicious is going on over there. They come and take all the weapons and stuff.
Yep. Or how about an ex-girlfriend?
Yep.
Or an ex-wife, I think it is, to me, remember all the Democrats, all you Democrats that love this, this is going to be used against minorities. And just remember that. You're going to be screaming about this in 3 years because of all the minorities that come up on it and all the in-house shootings. It's just like this affirming, you guys, Dave keeps mentioning the trans stuff, affirming this trans stuff. I think in 10 years, once all the dust settles from this and they see that it is a sociological thing that's happened to high school age girls, because high school age girls always do stuff like this. They get into trendy packs. This is going to be a huge issue in 5 to 10 years when all these young ladies have come out of their taking different hormones and having different body parts hacked off to conform to the leftist whims. It's going to become a woman's issue, and this is going to be something that we're going to have to contend with then. I think we're going to see it. So, hey, but you know what? Very few people get to sit back and watch an empire fall, and we get to sit
We're
and
so
enjoy it.
fortunate.
I know.
We have a front row seat.
Right now we get to see Caligula walk out on stage and mumble and misspeak, and then his horse comes out and says, "Oh, he didn't really mean that," while Caligula goes back. We get to sit and watch this. We're watching Rome fall. It's beautiful.
I apologize, gentlemen. I just need 30 seconds. I got to reset a breaker right behind
You're
right
good.
behind my screen.
Electrical
You're good.
safety.
You're good. Oh, the safety guy. Dave wants to come over and watch. He's got a notepad. All right. But yeah, I don't know what anyone thinks. We're going to jump over to Facebook and
Now let me get this straight though. These red flag laws, they're specifically for Utah, correct? Or is this something that's going on national?
what's that?
The red flag law bill.
It's being pushed.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. It's being pushed by, it's made its way through what is it, Congress. It's on its way to the Senate. And what it is the federal government is going to support states enacting red flag laws a lot like how the federal government supports states on the war on drugs. And that has been an extreme success. So let's repeat it.
Are you
Right?
referring to how they're saying that they're going to be giving like incentives to
Yep.
states and that enact these laws? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And everyone's hemorrhaging money right now, so of course they'll enact that stuff too.
Now everyone
Put more money
argues. Now you hear the left always argues Florida has the strongest red flag laws, except there's one little caveat in Florida's red flag law is the person who they're enacting it against is notified and has to agree to it. So that leaves due process for them to forcibly take the firearms is still in place. Now, if the other states enact that, I'm perfectly fine. I am fine with stripping someone of their rights if it's done through due process.
Right.
But if it's not done through due process, it's just mob. It's mob mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
All right. Kai says, we have a comment. I appreciate your guys' respect and training with firearms, but I don't think the majority of gun owners I personally know even have that level of degree of respect and training. So how can I feel safe with open carry without permits in public?
I feel the same way about driver's licensing.
Kai, I agree with you. Everyone should seek out and obtain more training. Training should be more available. It should be cheaper. Guys can get into groups. You can generally in any community find a guy who has some level of training with it and say, hey, will you come to the range with me and my buddies on Saturday, or, me and my brothers, whatever. And if anyone wants to do it, you can reach out to me. I have a certain level of training and we can go through steps. But if you permit it, all that is a wealth tax, or I should say a poor tax. If you make someone have to go get a permit to carry a firearm, you cut the people who are poor out of the ability to defend themselves, who are most commonly the guys who need that ability the most.
Actually, Jared, you could put a class on the internet for free.
Oh, sure. And there are classes. There are classes on YouTube right now. You can go and watch how to deal and treat with the weapon and how to store it. Mm-hmm. And then you can go further. You can go to misfire drills, failure drills. You can go through all that. I mean, there are classes on the specifics on how to draw and shoot and all the things like that. You can go on YouTube and watch those for free. It is better if you do it on a range. A couple reasons. I'm not a fan of people practicing with their guns inside their home because that's where mistakes can be made.
Just do dry fire.
Yeah.
Even then, I would rather you do it at a range. If you're gonna practice your quick draw or any of that, do it at a range where you're safe. All right. I'd be way more comfortable with the level at which Americans love guns if everyone trained like a good guy with a gun. And I agree.
Mm-hmm. And I advocate for that to all of the school board elected representatives.
It should be a progressive.
They should listen to me, like my wife should listen to me, but she never does. Hey, I agree with you 100%, Kai. I think training and weapons are so important.
Why don't you and your husband come to the range with me? We'll go through some classes. But yeah, I think they should have you're going to hear me say it, progressive series of training in schools. And it should start out. You should start out with pellet guns in the first grade where you learn to point the muzzle down range or Nerf or airsoft, whatever, until when you're graduating high school, they have actual, maybe competition shoots. I mean, how would it be if we replace, one of the other high school sports for competitive shooting?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's the one that has the highest insurance cost.
All right. Kai says she'll take me up on that. Let's do it.
Do it, girl.
And
I very specifically remember I had to be 16 and I was doing a Marine ROTC in high school. And the year that I started, they had just stopped being able to do teaching basic rifle marksmanship for competition or otherwise in this ROTC. It was New York. The school wouldn't allow it. And I just remember, like, before that, everything was fine. And then right when I hit 16 and did the Marine ROTC, it just ended. The school could not go along with that plan whatsoever anymore. And then people stopped learning about guns.
Yeah, you lose it quick if you just let it go. I mean, and New York did.
And the more you took guns, now there are more guns in our community than there were 40 years ago. But they're owned by less people, and less people are familiar with them than they were 40 years ago. And it hasn't made us safer by taking guns away from the majority of people. And that's not to say guns have been taken away, because they have, but also culturally, they've been taken away. And
rocket launchers too. I mean, I think we need to bring rocket launchers back into the program, because nowadays everyone's got this heavy track system to roll through their downtown street and ensure that the population's under control. So,
but yeah, but no, I think, and if anyone ever wants to gain some familiarity with firearms, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Dave. We can definitely help you out with either providing that or helping you find that locally.
Especially in Utah, there's so many great groups out here that want to teach you.
Oh, you'll trip over them.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn about guns, you will trip over a gun group out here. We are a gun-friendly state.
Is Utah hit concealed carry without a permit before Texas did, right? Because I saw that and I was like, wow.
Yeah, we had constitutional carry a year and a half before Texas. Texas just likes to brag about it more. I mean, we're not Wyoming level or Arizona level of constitutional carry, or even Vermont, but Texas is, it's everything's bigger in Texas. I mean, a year and a half late, but bigger.
Especially the ego.
But I do like Texas. All right. Do we want to hit the big one? Just finish that one, get it out of the way.
Go for it, man.
Sure. Yeah.
Go for it. The big bomb of today.
All right.
Tell us about it, Jared.
Oh,
Like, everyone doesn't know what happened today.
I know. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. So Roe versus Wade was overturned. Roe versus Wade was a law that was written in 1972, right?
It was before my time.
Yeah, I think they said it made it 49, 50 years. So
it's before my time as well. And Roe versus Wade was argued on privacy. And kind of weirdly, First Amendment, they tie in, but I'm not exactly sure how. But it was argued on privacy. The woman has the privacy to seek out an abortion. And so it federally made, and we must admit that Roe versus Wade made it stricter on abortions than some states would want it, and allowed abortions where some states wouldn't. So it's kind of a compromise. But me being the states' rights guy, I am pleased that now states can decide their own future. And hear me out before any of you who support it or hate it, get mad. This allows for you to either move to a place that fits the narrative of your life that you want to see, or it allows for you to support legislature that fits that narrative. I'm a 10th Amendment guy. I think it's extremely important. It allows that melting pot of ideas to enter the fold. So, and I just heard today that Utah has one of those laws written where Roe versus Wade twilights, and Utah puts a law in place, and I haven't had a chance to look it up, So if anyone listening has had that chance,
Let us know.
please enlighten.
I was in one of the
us to it.
states that has the trigger laws. There's like 13
Mhm.
states pending to drop
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard about Texas and Alabama and Louisiana, which are apparently pretty strict, but
What's your opinion on this, Rick?
I think where the states have more power is a good thing.
Mhm.
So we're, less big government is always good. I think I've been pro-life the majority of my life, pro-choice the majority of my life, excuse me. And then as we had to lead up to Roe v. Wade being overturned, you see some of the staggering numbers over the past 50 years, 65 million abortions. That's a staggering number. Very staggering. I did a show recently solo called America's War on Children, because we're just looking at those figures and the things that are happening in schools and the internet these days. It's scary. It's scary. So do I think there's a place for abortion? Yes. Rape, incest? Yes. I don't know. It's hard. I'm a dude. Sorry. I should have said my pronouns. But
is that your pronoun? Dude, stand up
my
to
amateur
pee.
nouns. But it's staggering. It's 65 million abortions. And I'm sure there are justified cases in there. Just when you look at the overall effect, and you're looking at people that are calling it a medical condition, or they're calling fetuses parasites these days. That's rough. I got 2 kids that I couldn't imagine doing that. Like, hey, they were fine, and I decided that I didn't want that in my life. And I look at my kids every day, and it's like, now that I have you, I can't picture my life without you. So I'm biased in my view on that.
Kai asks, is the 65 million in the U.S. only?
Yes.
That's a
I
lot of
do
people.
know. Here's a statistic that I heard, is that in the African American community, 49% of their pregnancies are aborted over the last 10 years.
Mm.
That's shocking.
Yes. And a lot of these clinics, they're in these
That's
urban
where
areas,
that's
these
where they put
minority
it.
areas,
Yeah.
these lower class areas, affecting a lot of people. And it's just weird. I feel like the gun laws and the abortion laws kind of go hand in hand, because people at a lower level are getting screwed by both.
Do you think those statistics are slightly biased because maybe they're published by people who are trying to promote the narrative that we should not be aborting babies?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's possible these days.
That's just a statistic I heard. And I mean, we know what Mark Twain said about statistics, but I would be labeled as pro-life, but I am that purist where I'm like, if you want to keep abortions legal, just don't make me a party to it at all. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to, I don't want to do any of that. And for God's sakes, don't put my tax dollars towards it.
Right. I 100% agree. In fact, I thought you would have my answer, which is I just want government to stay out of it.
That would be great. And that's exactly it. And it seemed like abortion had kind of died down, the argument about it, until it kicked back up during the ACA when they were trying to force Hobby Lobby to pay for Plan B. And I know everyone says Hobby Lobby didn't want to pay for anything. They just didn't want to pay for the morning after pill or Plan B.
That's funny, because I think we're in less than 24 hours, we're already beyond that, where big companies are now already offering their employees,
I know,
will pay for travel for abortion.
Is it Google, Amazon, Apple?
Yes.
And yeah. Kai says,
I think about it, and I guess it works out well for them because they pay for travel, they pay for the abortion, and their workforce stays and working longer. So it makes sense for them, as
Right.
opposed to somebody taking, I don't know, 6 months off for maternity leave. Hey,
Kai-
big business.
Kai says, I absolutely think the data would be biased. Example, poor communities are policed more, so there's more data on violence, drugs, etc. in those communities versus white, middle, upper class communities. Well, there's a couple of differences. On the drugs, yes, on drug arrests. But I think when paperwork has to be filled out by a doctor, I don't know how they could be biased, such as poor communities for violence. That is absolutely not the case. Because when someone goes into the hospital and the hospital has to take a record of care given, which then has to be reported either to the state for the state to pay or to an insurance company for an insurance company to pay. Believe me, the states and insurance companies want to keep a record so that they can weasel their way out of paying as much as they can. So that's why I think when it comes to those tactile things, whereas blood hits the ground or something is altered to a level where it's no longer alive, those are absolute numbers. Like car wrecks, fatal car wrecks versus dingers that police don't need to show up to. We have absolute numbers on the difference of those.
All your abortions are registered.
I don't know if they're
the legal ones.
I imagine they, and I don't want to see illegal abortions show up. I don't want to see, because abortions are going to happen. If we've learned anything from the war on drugs, abortions are going to happen. Drugs are still going to be used. But if you can make it so that people because for all of you pro-choice people, remember, pro-life people see this as killing a baby. Whether you agree with that opinion or not, that's what they see.
Which is called murder.
So, but you've got to give them the leverage. If they feel that way, don't make them a party to it. So don't let their taxes go to it. Don't make it a stumping speech and everything else. And I mean, I remember the pro-life people used to bomb abortion clinics. Well, right now, pro-choice people are attacking pregnancy aid centers.
With zero consequence. Nothing is happening. They're just getting away with it.
We are in the goddamn upside down right now, gentlemen. This is the weirdest. I'm telling you, this is the fact. We are in the pendulum scream. The pendulum swing right now. We are in the apex to the left, and all you people on the left right now, temper this, and all you people on the right now, remember where we are, because the right took us here in the 80s, which is why the left took over.
So when you're talking about pendulum swings, what you're saying is when the pendulum swings harder, these people who got their abortions and are registered abortions, documented abortions, the crime is written on paper.
Could it come to that in the future? Could we have some pro forma law written, 15 years from now where they go back and get revenge? We could, but we don't want that. Man, I would like that pendulum to stop. I think the way to stop that is we go 10th Amendment all the way, let people move to the different melting pots and try out their different ways of life. I say we take any state that has over, what do you think? 10 million people, and break it up so that no state is bigger than 10 million people.
I don't know. I just say do away with the state myself, but
sure, yeah, if we could. I mean, I'm an anarchist, but yeah, if we could, but I'm realistic also. I mean, once I see everyone pass the shopping cart quiz, I'll recognize that my dream might be able to come true. But until that happens.
But the worst case scenario for this, from my perspective, is all the women and doctors who performed or had an abortion will be prosecuted for murder.
Ooh.
And either executed or thrown in prison, and we'll have a lot more Republican votes.
And then we'll be back to the next swing. So when we come back, the Democrats, they'll write a law that's, in the past and resets. We need to stop the pendulum in the middle. We need to stop it.
Good luck. This carousel ride is out of control.
Oh, hey,
By far.
very few people in history. This is a historical moment, gentlemen. We are watching the empire collapse. They are robbing us blind as the Titanic sinks. They are robbing us blind. And we get to sit and watch it. That's where we are. All right. Okay. Kai says, so how does that work for pro-life? An eye for an eye only makes us all blind. We agree.
Yep.
I agree. An eye for an eye makes everyone blind. I completely agree. I'm just saying both sides need to learn to temper themselves when they have power. Right now, the left has power, and the right is oddly lashing out. And you know, it was the right had power when the left put Roe versus Wade in. It's weird how the courts kind of signal the change, I guess. But this is where we are. So I hope that that different states take over and that people who want to seek out different lifestyles move to different states. You know,
Sounds expensive.
move to, hey,
The government will pay for it. It'll be fine.
the,
Right.
you won't be able to drive there, but I mean,
God. No, you know what? So recently I went to Brazil, and on my way home, I landed in Atlanta for the day. And in Brazil, there was no shortage of food. I'll tell you that right now. But when I landed in Atlanta airport, I noticed there was lines of people. Lines. I mean, big lines at every location that was selling food that was open.
now that may not have been a shortage of food. I'll bet that's a shortage of staff. Not to mention right now, the Fed just came down with the report. All right. Have you guys heard of this? Tell me if either of you had. You guys both know what fractional reserve banking is?
Sure, but refresh my memory just in case.
Where banks, that's where banks have to have 10% in reserve of anything they want to lend out, right?
Okay.
That's been a long-standing since 1972 when Nixon took his. Actually, I think this goes back to the Federal Reserve Act. But
1913.
you know, in May they did away with that.
This
Last May,
last May.
they did away with fractional reserve banking. So now banks aren't limited to a reserve on what they can lend.
Well, I'm always for more flexibility.
So what does that mean? Does that mean now banks can inflate us to infinity? Oh, you guys think about that.
Well, I can tell you right now, you should buy Bitcoin. But I've been telling you that for how
low and
long?
wait for it to skyrocket again shortly.
Or wait for it to climb again at all. And
How can the economy be doing so bad and the solution to the problem, from my perspective, be tanking right along with it? So,
well,
it's got to be artificial.
Bitcoin,
Yes.
Bitcoin is still bought with. Do you buy Bitcoin with something other than currency?
You can buy it with Dogecoin.
But you buy
You can farm it
Dogecoin
yourself
But in the beginning,
or mine.
you get it with currency,
Yes, you do.
and all currencies are collapsing right now, except for oddly the ruble. But every other currency,
So high. Those sanctions, they did so good. They're on a 30-year spike.
I know.
Great job.
Well, you know what he did?
You backed it with gold,
He
right?
tied it to gold, and it jumped. Every Keynesian currency is in full collapse right now.
So, are you trying to make a point?
It's Keynesian economics is dying. Now, Kai says, is moving to another state a potential solution with the Electoral College? I don't know how that works together on that, but actually, yes, it is. The Electoral College means that each state gets a certain number of electors to go for just president. And the Electoral College only works for the president, for the executive branch, not the legislative. So it doesn't work for the law, for the purse or for the courts. Doesn't work for any of those. So
I mean, it doesn't work on SCOTUS. Like I've seen all day,
Well,
all these people
actually,
that have no idea.
okay, I take that back.
Saying when can I vote for SCOTUS?
It does work on SCOTUS because the president at the time elects SCOTUS. But SCOTUS is generally, and look this up. Look up how many Supreme Court justices we had from when Lincoln took office to when Grant died, and read the whole spectrum, because it went from 7 to 9 to 15 to 13 to 14 to 17 to 19 to 6 back to 7.
That's an old Roman tactic. You just put more senators on the Senate if you want to pass something.
That's right. Well, that's why Caligula wanted his horse on the Senate, so he had one more vote.
Well, who doesn't want their horse on the Senate?
Caligula was gonna put his horse on the Senate for one more vote. But anyways, I want you guys all to look at that. So now, the thing with moving to another state is if there is something that means that much to you, if abortion means that much to you, which I don't think it would, Kai, because I've met your kids. They're lovely beings. But maybe it does, then you move towards an ideal life you like. Let's say there was a state that opened up that had, something like that state served all its steaks medium rare, and you had a side of Tabasco, something that I enjoy. That might be something that I'd look forward to. I could move towards my ideal life. And someone hated steak and they wanted all vegetarian, and they could move somewhere and either start a state, as New Hampshire has shown, or they could find a state that better fits their lifestyle. And we already do it now. I mean, how many people are flooding into Texas right now? How many people are flooding into Florida right now?
Idaho's getting overtaken by ex-Californians.
Yeah, Idaho.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. Not just that, but even within a certain state, certain regions, a lot of people in Utah are finding themselves migrating towards St. George, because St. George, has finally got some kind of commerce happening down there. So a lot of people are moving. So you move for your lifestyle, and it's not a knock to say, I want to live this way. The Mormons might actually take over Utah, and that would be bad for me. So I might have to find myself in Nevada, but it might be good for, say, someone who lives in New York, who's a Mormon. They might start saying, all right, I've got a 5-year plan to move to Utah so that I can live my lifestyle. So, it's not a bad plan. That was the design after all.
It seems like the more appealing a location, it has to be a really crappy location to actually adjust itself to be more open to freedom. For example, everyone knows I'm a big cryptocurrency fan. Mm-hmm. The only country right now, except
I don't know if anyone knows. You want to break that down for us real quick?
Well, anyway, the only place where I would be able to move to live the way I want to live without slave money is El Salvador. And do I want to express my values and move to El Salvador? How
are they on guns?
I don't think they have good gun rights.
Because right now, they don't have good Bitcoin rights. Whereas El Salvador turned everything over. I've wondered this. How is their national economy doing?
Well, it's probably going to be parallel to Bitcoin right now, since
that's what I'm wondering.
Put everything in there.
But then again, we're hitting as bad.
But it's just the fact, like you said, this is my lifestyle. So
you're correct, Kai. I have not met your kids, but I met some kids when I met you down at that thing. But she says she has concerns for poorer communities where family can't support a child. The foster care and adoption system isn't without its problems. So yes, and yes.
You can't adopt for anything less than 30,000 now, can't you?
That's ridiculous. I talked about that on a recent episode, and if they could sort out adoption rights and making that, obviously it's people that have ruined that for the most part, but if they could sort that out, maybe we wouldn't need 65 million abortions.
What do you mean people ruined it? Do you mean like Jeffrey Epstein was adopting, or what do you mean?
I'm tracking that, but if he was, definitely.
Yeah. She says she has, concerns for the part, and I agree. But still, should we strip personal responsibility out of every equation at every turn? And should we allow some places, if somewhere believes that it is killing, put this in your mind. Some people believe that this is the murder of the most innocent thing, the murder of a baby that hasn't even breathed air yet.
Well, Jared, some religions actually believe that masturbation is murdering a baby.
And there might be a state that pops up where if you get caught on a tug or filling a load-bearing sock, it's over for you.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're going to jail.
Mm-hmm. Just imagine
every day I cross the line, I guess.
They come walking into your house and that sock's standing straight up against the wall, just stiff. And they're like, "Oh, that's it."
Draw your weapons.
There might be a state that pops up like that. And you might see guys that take a quick ride across the state line, doesn't even leave the car, just throws it out, tosses the napkin out the window and drives back all messy.
How long is your stay? About 3 minutes. I'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking of worst case scenarios here.
But that's just this melting pot of ideas. If Utah turned Mormon theocratic, would I leave? Yes. I don't think I would function very well under that. Whatever. It depends, and I mean, would I look around and maybe find a piece of Nevada or Tennessee or something else and then say, all right, I'm on a 5-year plan. I'm going to start saving money. I'm going to start planning out. I'm going to sacrifice now to get there and live my lifestyle. Or I'm going to judge, is this something I can live with where I'm at? She says, you guys rock. Thanks for the good, respectful conversation. I'm sure we fall on opposite ends of a lot of issues when we have to pick a box. But this conversation right here today just proves people can agree on more than we disagree. And that's and it's these wedge issues. I think politicians drive these wedge issues. You'll notice it's around right now and it'll disappear in December.
Mm-hmm.
And
as
it'll
we're getting
be
towards
back.
the primaries, everything's getting insane.
And then tax season 15 April, right?
Yeah. But it'll be back in 2 years, and then it'll disappear in December, and then it'll be back in 2 years. These two issues, you've got guns and abortion, healthcare. Sometimes it depends on the time. Those are the ones that show up. Those are the big wedge issues.
Let's talk about some little news now.
All right.
Some more.
The rough stuff's out.
More easygoing local kind of things in other places.
All right. So we've got Dave sent me this story, and I pulled it up, and we're going to have Dave chat about it.
So I want you to put yourself in a position where you bought a motorcycle and maybe you didn't register it properly, or it makes more noise than is legally allowed on the street. Or maybe you thought you could ride it on the sidewalk because it's so small or battery operated or something like that. But either way, you found out you broke a crime, you broke a law, committed a crime, and your bikes are seized by the state. And here we have a situation where bikes and ATVs and mini bikes are going to be seized by New York, and they're considered a public nuisance. So in a strange ritual, we have the mayor of New York City performing a exorcism on these illegal motorcycles, and he crushes them with a bulldozer. And here we are in a harsh economy, and the state is confiscating our motorcycles because they deem them illegal, and crushing them with a giant bulldozer. And I would like to watch this. Let's watch the ritual.
let me first. Okay, so I was wondering what makes a motorcycle illegal. It sounds like it's generally, it's made illegal by the actions of the operator. So we've got whoever wrote this story just got done taking a romance writing novel writing class, because this is the best written story I've ever read. I keep expecting them to, mention something about werewolves and vampires that sparkle or some shit. Anyways, it says pedestrians imperiled by their menacing maneuvers, loud engines, speeding, racing up on sidewalks, and
Failing to signal. That would never happen in Tooele.
It's usually yeah. Imagine if they did this in Utah, but it sounds like it's operation error. They get impounded because the person is a criminal, and Eric Adams has been cracking down. But we'll turn this on. Got the cat.
Did you promise yourself this year would be more productive?
I'm sorry, folks. No one wants to watch.
I definitely promised myself that.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
checkered flag.
Eric Adams. Now, what do you guys think about Eric Adams as we listen to this?
Yeah, he took his first couple of weeks in salary in Bitcoin. I was surprised.
Nice.
I've been watching him. He seems to be. I mean, he's definitely pro-police.
He's the best you're going to get in New York City.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Look at all these gas-saving vehicles just being crushed for no reason.
Man, I want one.
That's a scooter on the end.
It's an illegal scooter, Jared.
Someone was racing a scooter.
He didn't signal.
Look at that
The
scooter.
New York scooter gangs are back.
Yeah. They wear velour jackets
Oh, that's classy.
in purple.
I'm grateful that the state is there to save us from illegal motorcycles and scooters.
Yeah.
That looks like an expensive bulldozer, too.
Oh yeah.
How much do you think it costs the state to rent that?
It's a D9. Oh, that's probably owned by the state. I'll bet they own it.
Well, anyway, that's how New York City treats those people who don't signal.
But look at all the people show up to watch it. They must really be pissing off the populace with their exploits.
They thought they were there for Monster Jam, and it was just that.
Dude, that's the slowest, boringest Monster Jam you ever showed up to. Oh,
Yep.
man. I don't know. Rick, you had a story, right?
I think in the pre-show stuff, I only talked really about the 2A that we covered at the top. So I'm free game. Whatever you
All
got.
right. Well, someone sent me a Vice story about you can order a what would we call this?
It's like a sweetheart message.
A 105 millimeter tweet for Russians.
It's $40. There's an email there.
So $40. Now here's the question. So you can get on this email. It's t.me/combat.
No, that's the message on the bomb that they wanted.
No, order your sign here. t.me/combat_FTG.
I guess it is. You might have to enlarge that for the audience, but
But anyways, you can, if you want to send a message to Russians, you can order it there, and they will Sharpie your message onto. That looks like it's a 105 shell, and they will send it directly.
look at that. Welcome to Ukraine.
I don't think many Russians will be able to read it after it has been delivered, but it's a thought that counts.
You get so much for your money. If you get two, it's $10 off. It's 70 instead of being 80.
And I think you can pay in Bitcoin.
Look at this. This dude got a Happy Father's Day Sadad.
Love Zach.
Oh, Zach. It's
It
beautiful.
is kind of romantic.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were going to get something for Patricia, like a love message, that might be something I'd think about.
I think Patricia would be pissed if you spent money on something that cool.
Yeah, she probably would.
Yeah, look, that looks like a Sabbath round. But yeah, so again, for the listeners, if you go to t.me/combat_FTG, you can order yourself a 105 or 155 millimeter billboard.
And there is an email address in there somewhere.
Yeah.
$40. It ain't a bad buy.
Definitely not.
I don't know if the Russians are making a counter offer for $30, but
They might be, but the R's are backwards. Yeah, I don't know. All right, Dave.
so our next story. Next story is a good one. So
Dave had one last story.
there you are. You're 14 years old, babysitting your family. You got like 4 other kids you're babysitting, right?
Siblings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of your siblings walks off.
Now, this was
down.
in 2020, so, man.
It's not that long ago.
No, but, I mean, that means it's probably even gotten worse in most places.
So let me finish my story here. So one of your siblings walks off down the road and plays with the neighbor's kid, and the parent decides, instead of calling to inform where the sibling is, the parent decides to call the police. And this
Okay.
person gets in trouble.
No, hold on. So, another neighbor kid came to their house to play?
You're babysitting 4 kids, and then you all of a sudden only have 3 because one of those kids went to the neighbor's house.
Oh, okay.
And the mother of the child that the kid is playing with doesn't return the kid, but rather calls the
But
police.
calls the cops?
So,
Set up a play date and then call the cops on the other parent? Dude, that is better than red flag laws.
well, I mean, hey,
Make some stuff happen.
either way, this single mom who had to go to work to make money to support this family, who left her teenage daughter in charge, this single mother eventually had 5 police officers pull up on her and arrest her. 5.
Like while she's at work?
I don't know where she was, but that was the end result of this this altercation, because she left her kid in charge of her other kids. And I think that's something that is pretty common throughout our culture. Now, here's a picture of the family.
So this one, I suppose, was babysitting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's this one that wandered away, that little...
Mm.
Man, he just looks like
He looks like he'd wander away.
He looks like he's fitting to break something. Look at that.
That
He
smile.
kind of cocks his head down. He's like, yeah. Right now, he's looking at the guy's camera like, I'm breaking that.
I'm going to
right
make you
after
famous,
this."
Mom.
He's like, I'm breaking that camera.
Well, five police officers showed up to apprehend this rambunctious lady, this single mom.
Where was this at?
Criminal. You forgot to say criminal.
Oh, Georgia.
Georgia.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, we talked about defunding the police. I think we can probably cut the budget by at least 4/5.
Well, I just want to talk about this. Our child protective services are badly needed and sometimes abused and sometimes fail. And I think we need to put some protections in on that. When the government comes out, so this is a single mother. She's feeding 5 kids.
Mm.
You know that boy on the far left, you know, he
It
puts
was
some
him.
food away because he's hitting the puberty age. That little one, he's breaking stuff. So she's got to replace
Definitely.
TVs and stuff all the time. You know, that little girl, she's probably easy, you know, to deal with. But a single mom, now she has to get a lawyer. So that further stresses the family. She's fighting against the state. So she's going to a state court to try to get the state to say that the state was wrong. How does that work? You know,
I'm still wrapping my mind around 5 cops have to come over to your house to apprehend you because of babysitting.
yeah.
And there's a lot wrong with this. Like, whatever happened to the sense of community? Why did this person have to call the cops? Like, they could have been like, hey, your kid's here. There's that. I mean, I feel like that time when I was walking home, as I brought up at the top of the show, I was walking home. I was a latchkey kid. So I don't get why we allow kids to make life-changing decisions at 4 years old. But this 14-year-old wasn't allowed to watch her siblings?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Hell. I
She
mean,
probably forgot to give him hormone blockers.
I was that middle-sized kid growing up. So commonly, sad to say, my parents would hire girls my same age to babysit me and my 4 siblings. And they commonly learned the lesson when they would, because I would prank them, lock them out of the house, things like that. I was not a well-behaved child. But yeah, a 14-year-old is competent enough to watch their siblings. And like you said, the sense of community. Why should, right now, I hope that all my neighbors know that they could rely on me if I saw one of their kids in trouble in front of my house, or at my house or whatever else. I would do everything to uphold the value and the safety that those parents expect. I would do everything to meet those values and get that, because I do believe that community, just like 10th Amendment, moving to a state that fits your community, is important.
Well, I can't get my mind around it, because where are we at the point of our society where we're in trouble because we leave our kids to babysit other kids?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my question is in the future, when they read about the collapse of this Roman Empire, is NFL the circus, NBA the circus, but what's the bread?
I mean, she's only 1 year away from voting age, according to Democrats.
Oh, now that's the centrist Democrats.
They want to let 15-year-olds vote, and
the radical,
they can't babysit.
The radical ones are like, she's 8 years away from being able to choose her sexual identity. I mean, 8 years past. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say
she waited way too long.
Yeah,
she'd been fine if she switched over to something else way earlier.
What do you guys think?
She missed it.
Yeah, she missed it. She's not going to be able to compete in the international swimming meets. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, they finally banned that lady.
But did you see how they banned it? You have to be on the sexual or the puberty blockers prior to the age of 12.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
which should be illegal. I mean,
I know.
So, what the heck?
So now
that could be illegal.
Dad's got dreams in his eyes of his son being the female international swimming champion. So he tosses that. Baby comes out. He walks across the hallway looking for the doctor to put her on Lupron, or put him her on Lupron. It gets confusing when you get into pronouns, folks. I know we're hitting a weird world where everybody's sexist and offensive. And
Shim.
I am retarded. Another word apparently we can't say.
Can't say it.
So please don't expect me to keep up with the times. Not to mention, I'm an old man. I am 47. That's past the age of knowing what to do.
Yeah, you're set in your ways, man. It's over.
Okay. Kai. Few more. Kai is busy.
She enjoyed that
here.
bulldozer.
No one else is in here. Kai says, was the mayor in the seat of the bulldozer?
No, he was holding the checker flag.
He swung the checkered flag. I've driven a bulldozer. Not that fun. I mean, they're tough. The bulldozers. Yeah. I mean, we need to do a show on Killdozer one day. Would you join us for that show, Rick?
Sure.
Killdozer.
I do my show on Saturdays for the Underqualified and Overcompensated. You guys ever need to fill in? Just let me know.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Sweet. We'll have to come on your show sometime.
Too easy. We'll make it happen.
Talk super crap.
We have quite the extensive podcaster network now. I mean, we've got, let's see, we did Spike, we got Tim, we've got Rick now, and we've got
we need to get
so
Tim back. We ought to do a show with Tim on here. Tim's a New York Libertarian Party podcaster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
we had Spike on. Spike's good.
Yeah,
he's been on our show a couple times.
Spike's outstanding.
He's fun.
Okay. Kai also says, and then have fun. that only he could have. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting to bulldoze something for sure.
Kai's feeling destructive tonight.
How much?
Choose violence, Kai. Choose
Yeah.
violence.
How much did fuel cost to run that bulldozer for that short a time? Ooh, that's a good question.
Probably more than the bike.
Diesel's
will
pretty
work.
high right now,
So
so
the-
at least $150.
So it was a D9. Probably has a 55-gallon tank on it. I'll ask a couple guys I know. But no, Rick, thanks for coming on. This was
Oh, appreciate it.
we really didn't get a lot of chatting back on this, but I just want to, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I am in my personal life pro-life, but I also understand that not everyone should live up to my values. And I think until science is caught up and proven us to when life begins and when we can adjudicate whether it's a murder or not, we have to have a gray area. But in that gray area, that means don't pull one side or the other into it. So don't pull the people who believe it's murdering of a baby into that gray area through making them a party to it. You know, don't build the Planned Parenthood in their basement and don't force them to pay for it. And then don't pull the pro-choice people into the cathedral to, you know, light a candle for it. And that's just my thoughts on it. Closing thoughts, Rick?
I've been pro-choice most of my life. I'm definitely, after the numbers I brought up before, that's a hard thing to swallow. So I think in those situations where it's necessary, go for it. If it's not, you know, there were other options that could have been made. The problem that's being had these days is you can't have a middle opinion. You can't have it. You have to pick one side or you're wrong in either way. That's where we're at on like every topic that's currently in the internet in America. If you don't pick one side, you're wrong. And that's hard because nobody's open to dialogue anymore.
Yeah, and I just want to stay out of it. Me personally, I don't want government involved. Teach your family the values you want to teach your family, and everyone can suffer the consequences of their actions. And that's the way biology was meant to be.
I like it. Dude, just a thought. Those abortion numbers damn near equally reflect Chairman Mao's numbers and timeline.
Well, did they count abortions in China?
Well, no, Chairman Mao's killing of his populace.
Yeah, but they were already born.
65 million over a span of approximately 40 years. 65 million over a span of approximately 40 years. That's just, I don't know. I'm just reading the tea leaves. I'm just Nostradamus at the fall of Rome. Just interesting thoughts. But yeah, I don't know. Man. Rick, you've been very gracious, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, both of
Dude,
you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome on any time. And if there's anything going on down in Texas or you see a story that's that you could bring some knowledge, especially I love I would love when we don't have a news story to just sit down and have kind of a philosophical libertarian chat, you know,
Sure.
Where we really get a spurg out and show our personal autism and just dig into like the knee deep bones of it. What do you think about the Mises Caucus? Have you followed them at all?
I know nothing about that.
Ooh, man, they shook it
wouldn't-
up. Mises Caucus took all party leadership, 100% in Reno 2 weeks ago.
For libertarians?
Okay.
Took over the whole party and then changed the Libertarian Party platform.
Change
I
what
will
about?
have to do my research on that.
They took pro-choice out of the platform, and they changed. So the platform for the last, I think, 6 years had kind of an anti-bigotry statement in it, and they changed that to say, we're going to support the rights for every person, regardless of race, color, or religion. So they're, I don't know. It's wild. It's a wild time. I'm excited to see where it goes. I want to see Dave Smith running for president and knowing what I know. Fellow podcaster. Well, not a fellow. He's a
level above
he's a
us, isn't he?
successful podcaster.
Every time Spike does the underqualified, I'm like, this dude's just slumming.
Oh yeah. Tell me about it. Okay, one last from Kai. We'll let you close it out, Kai. Dave, read what Kai says.
Small minds discuss people. Average minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas. Thanks again, guys, and look forward to that philosophical discussion.
I am a very small mind, Kai. Very small. The smallest of minds. A matter of fact, I've got to be careful when I sleep on my side. It might roll out the ear hole. All right, everyone. See you next week.
Take care.
Have a good one.